Okay, in this video, we're going to be focusing on creating wall hotspot textures. By the end of it, we'll have 6 different hotspot materials, which look like this. We're going to be using 2 different layouts. We're going to be using hotspot A, and then we're going to be creating one with hotspot D. And the first thing I wanted to do was kind of show you a trick. We're going to first create a new folder here for our hotspot A layout. And then call this concrete walls. That's what we're going to make first. I guess I'll do HSA. And we're going to go to where we made our initial texture graph, and we're going to create a texture graph instance. And call that TG concrete walls HSA. And move that into our concrete walls folder. Open that up, and you'll see that instead of a texture graph now we just have a bunch of parameters to work with based off of what we named it. Remember before I said naming these are pretty important, so you should do that? This is why. We didn't name our edge brightness though. It's just scalar, but that's what that is. So we will go into our HSA layout and just replace what we need here. So the edge mask, and then this wear mask. And that's literally all we have to do here. But then we need to go and tell it where we want to export it. So I'm going to copy this, our HSA concrete walls folder. Paste it here, because this is where we're exporting it to. And then at the bottom here, export. And then we'll see it show up right here. And if you have any issues, because sometimes I've had the ORM just come up black, restart your editor and see if that fixes it. Okay, so what else we need is the material instance that we made before. I'm going to copy that and just paste one here. And open this up and just drag, enable these, and just drag these into where they belong. Save that. And then we need to create a hotspot data asset for this. Hotspot data, HSA. Do the same thing that we did before. Just kind of moving it to the parent directory. Open that up. So here's what that looks like. It's already looking great, isn't it? And then we want to turn off. This is what makes this a wall hotspot. We need to turn off allow rotation. And what that does is it keeps this upright. It doesn't allow it to rotate at all. But we need to do something else. We need to also disallow the mirror Y. That's optional, but I like to do it because we're going to be doing bricks along with this. So I kind of want the bricks to just look right, but that's optional. If you want it to mirror along the Y like this, and which means it'll flip this, then, keep that enabled. And we just, with those two things off, we're just going to make these hotspots real quick. I don't even need to speed this up because it's so quick. That's it. Done. Save it. Close it. Going into Scythe with Shift 6. Make sure this is selected. Make sure that's our active material. And then we're going to make a wall here. I'm going to do Shift R to make a rectangle just to kind of show how this can work. So we're going to do 300 high. I'll just do like that. And we could test it immediately. Shift F. Forgot to set this back. This should be 1024. Shift F. And that looks great. So if I just make a bunch of stuff here, just some trash here. All right, that's good enough. I'm gonna select all, Shift F to hotspot it. And there we go, that looks pretty good. Pretty good. I didn't realize these were kind of floating, so it looks kind of crappy there, but this looks really good. And you can see the reason why we disallow rotation. Like this looks all uniform, looks really good. It looks like this is a wall. And I'll just finish this like so. And one thing to note is I forgot one extra thing. So if we reopen our hotspot data, we want to set these just like they were. We want one more right here. Save that. And it doesn't look like we're getting any. There you go. And so doing that just allows us to have one more extra size that's one down from this giant one here. So it doesn't just go from this one to this one. It actually has just a little bit more to deal with. So then you don't get as much stretching. And you pay for it by having a seam here, but hotspots look so good next to each other that it's really no big deal. It still looks fantastic. All right, so next up, we're going to do bricks. We're going to go into Fab. And similar deal, I have this brick wall worn here. This is the only one we're going to need for this whole tutorial. We want high quality, and the description has a link to this here. And same deal, if you don't have this for free and it costs money now for you, then just get a free brick texture off the internet and follow along. Okay, so this is Hotspot A. We're going to make a new folder called Brick Walls, HSA. And we're going to go into our hotspot B, our initial one we made. We're going to copy these two things because we want both of those, because we're actually going to be creating a new, we're going to be modifying texture graph, but we want our own texture graph for this. And rename these TG Brick Walls, HSA, MI Brick Walls, HSA. And we're going to open up that texture graph. And so we're going to keep the bottom layer here, but we want to change out the top. And we do that by going to our Fab, stuff that we downloaded, textures here, and it comes with 3. And you're going to notice this one's a little different, and we're going to deal with that. But easiest way to do this, click this. So it's like that, click that, and then just tell it to be that one. Do the same thing with the others. Okay, so let's look at what this is. This is a 4x2 again, but this one's a little different. Like it really wants to stretch quite a bit more to make it make the bricks look correct. And we're going to do that by 4K by 4K. That's correct in our transform, but we need to double this again. So repeat it 2x and 4x. So 2 by 4. And that's what this looks like. So we're going to have one wall here, basically. So our walls will look like this. This will stretch up to here, if that makes sense. And we notice that our bricks are cut in half on the top and the bottom, and we don't need this to tile because we're making a hotspot, and hotspots don't need a tile here. So if we do a offset in the Y and make it 0.022, now that looks really good. on both the top and the bottom. So that's done there. I actually, instead of just having to copy these over to each other, I think, yeah, I will. So I'm going to hold down Shift and right click to copy this whole thing, and then Shift and left click to paste it. I'm going to do that for both of these. And then also get the repeat value here. Do the same thing. And now everything should be lined up. So now we need the actual mask and the edge mask. We're going to do the same kind of thing. Click that. Get our wear mask in. Click that. And now we'll see what we're looking at here. Okay, that looks pretty good. And our bricks look like the correct size because this is going to be one wall here. Okay, I think we're happy with that. So now we need to tell it where to export to. Brick wall. So we need to highlight those again, paste where they want to go, and export. Yes. So we do have a slight issue here. Let's just set these up. Let's enable these. And let's just set these up first. So you see when I drag in that ORM, it looks crazy. But we'll save that. Okay, so back in our texture graph, when we look at this and we look at the different values that it's packed in, it doesn't come with anything except for a green. So we're going to not use these values here and instead use these values because this has an AO on it, has a green of course. It doesn't have metallic, but we'll just, I mean, we can do this. This is fine. But we're going to use this instead for AO top. And then that should work. Let's take a look at this preview. Yeah, see that looks great now. Might even want to change the specular, just drop this down to 0.2 maybe. Next we got to add this to our hotspot data asset that we made before. And we can do that by just taking this material instance and dragging it into here, saving it, and now that has it. Go to our brick walls, make sure it's active, and we can select our walls that we made, hit Shift F, and there we go. We got walls. And I could drop my guy in here and feel this out. Yeah, that looks great. The bricks look uniform everywhere. They look like the proper size. I think our wear looks pretty good. I would dare say this wear should maybe be doubled. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take this and do a transform. We'll just connect this up where it was. And we need to repeat this twice. I don't know why we're not getting a preview, but yeah, I mean, I need to show it to you. So let me close that, reopen it. Okay, so this is it before, this is it after. So you get one here, one here, one here, and one here. And we're gonna do the same thing for the bottom bits. Then we're gonna do the same thing for the other ones. Okay, that should be good. So if we save that and we export it out, we can see that it looks quite a bit more detailed suddenly. I can't say that, this is just an unfortunate strip that's being put right here, and it's kind of noticeable to me. So I'm just going to select these three and just offset on the X here, just ever so slightly. Let's just see what that looks like. Yeah, that looks a lot better to me. And I'm showing you guys like the problems I run into and how I'm fixing them rather than just showing you all the values that you need to make a brick texture. I think that's, a good way to do this. Okay, now we're going to start working with a new layout. This is layout D. These are also for walls, but you'll notice that our last layout, this entire section was a single wall, and now there's a ton of walls here. So what that means with this layout is this layout's really good for something like half walls, like half height walls, like waist height. And it's also good for normal height walls, but only if the maximum texel density for your game is 512 pixels per meter. And this will make more sense as we make this here. So we have a lot to do, so let's get started. Let's first make the folder. So in my hotspots folder, I'm going to do HSD, go into that, and do brick. We're going to do half walls first. Brick half walls, HSD, and we'll steal from the brick walls that we made before. We're going to take these two here, the texture graph and the material instance, and just paste that in there. And name it TG brick half walls HSD. And my brick half walls HSD. And we'll open up our texture graph. Okay, and in here, we just need to replace these two, the edge mask, with our HSD layout. So just do this, replace that. We need to go to where we need to export it. Paste that in there, just like before. We're going to export. They should show up right here. Then we need to set up our material. Just throw these in here. Save that. That material's done. We need to make a new hotspot data asset. HSD is going to be weird. HSD. And then we're going to move that into the parent directory. And same as before, we're going to turn off allow rotation and allow mirror Y. And I'm going to just make this. Okay, once that's done, you can save it and you can close it. Okay, now I'm going to go into Scythe and we're going to test this out, but I guess I'll make just a little bit of trash here just to kind of make this fun. Okay, that looks pretty good. The bricks all look pretty uniform. And I made this 100 high because that's what it's kind of meant to be texel density wise. You can notice that the bricks right next to this wall, they're not the same size because this one is actually 300 high. And it's kind of meant to be 200 high, but Unreal doesn't really look good with 200 high walls when you're doing, this. So I made them 300. So that's why that's like that, but they're correct. So I'm pretty happy with that. Gonna save all here. And then we're going to do the big walls, the normal size walls now for this layout. Okay, so let's do the same thing, new folder, brick walls, HSD, and I'm going to steal these two, paste them in here, just take off half in each one, open that up. Yeah, we are going to have to do a little bit more to this. I'm kind of doing this backwards. I'm setting the export properly. Okay, so we're doing this a little backwards, and I'll show you why. So if I export this, we'll just see it in real time. Set up our texture real quick. And then we're going to make this active, the one that we just made. And I'll just do, I'm going to duplicate this mesh so it's a brand new mesh and just move it over here just so you can kind of see what's happening. And I'm going to apply our layout D walls to this. And you can see it looks bad because it's kind of using this density of bricks here. So what we need to do is go into our texture graph and we need to double this up, this repeat right here. We need to 4 times and then 8 times. And you can see how crazy this looks. And control or shift right click and select these two, shift left click. And now we should be looking really good. So if I export this again, now they look normal again. And you can actually compare the bricks here. They're nearly identical here. I think I need to undo. Yeah, we need to maybe undo this offset for these. Let's select our 3. 0.011 is probably going to be what we want. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So export that out. And this should no longer be weird like that. Yeah, now it's pretty identical to the big one. All right, save those. So this, this actually only works with this, a textile density of 512. So if I set that like that, they look a little bit better sizing wise. And looking at them side by side, you can see the difference here of the textile densities. So if this 512 over here, this is good for your game. This wall layout is great. If you can't go that low, then use this simple wall layout. All right, and next we're going to create concrete walls. Doing the same thing. So concrete walls, or concrete walls concrete walls HSD. And I can show you yet another trick. I'm not really sure if I recommend following along here. You might want to try something else, like make your own graph or make a texture graph instance or something like that. But I just want to show you how this would work. So if we're going to do concrete walls here, if we right click this brick walls, we can do export texture graph. And this just does the same thing as an instance, but it doesn't make a file. So we can just export it wherever we want. And I forgot, did we copy this already? I'm copying that. But I can just throw this in here. And so we just need our Megascan textures again for concrete wall, and we're going to throw that where it belongs, the tops here. And the reason why I don't recommend doing this, and maybe you shouldn't be following along and making your own texture graph, is that remember we changed our ORM top stuff and we're not using all of the nodes. We would want that for this. But for now, I'm just showing you how this works. It'll be a little exercise for you to make your own texture graph and make this yourself. So I'm going to export. Okay, we got our concrete wall textures now made. And if we go and we steal this material instance, open that up and just throw this stuff in here and rename this. We want concrete walls, not brick walls. And we can test this out real quick. We'll test it out on, because this is a normal sized one. Just for fun, I guess let's duplicate this again. Duplicate mesh in Scythe. And then apply it with Shift F while it's active. And there you go. That looks as expected. And we'll do the same thing for the half walls. Concrete, half walls, HSD. We'll go into here. We're going to do the same thing, but maybe you shouldn't. Get our textures in there. And I always forget to just grab this while I'm in here, but grab this folder, paste them in where we want them exported to. Export. And we're done with that. I'm going to grab one of these material instances. Concrete half walls, open that up, get this in here. And we could test it on this too. We could just do this, make sure it's active, Shift F. And this is the wrong textile density because it's a half wall. And there you go. That's as expected. And you might be wondering, why can't I just use the concrete blocks for this? You can, but it does look a little different at times. And the other one is just, it's meant to stay upright. It's meant to look a little better. And as I mentioned before, you can do this and it's all built into that because it has these sections here built into it. And I'm going to undo that because I really like that look. And just for the intro of this video, I'm going to make it look beautiful. Okay, I'll just drop in my guy here and take a look at that. Oh yeah, that looks so great. Look at this trash that we've made. That looks so good. I hate that, but isn't this cool? Isn't this great that we can just make this stuff so fast? And there's a reason why I chose brick and concrete, because it's really the peanut butter and jelly of environment art. So I really hope this inspires you to make some really cool looking sandwiches. And in the next one, I'm going to introduce you to beveled normals. We're not going to apply it to our bricks or concrete. We're going to actually create a brand new texture that's rusted metal. So I'll see you in the next video.